What is up, YouTube? This is Alucard AFK with another MTGO game with commentary. So, we're back on the black-blue control deck with a major theme of milling and a minor theme of discard. With some big baddies. I need to come up with a nickname for that. You guys need to help me out with that. So, opening hand, we have a ground, catacombs, go for the throat, a Sangromancer, a Vampire Nighthawk, and Dark Slick Shores, a Phyrexian Obliterator, and a Swamp. Not a bad opening hand. So we're going to play a Dark Slick Shores and pass the turn. He's going to play an Evolving Wilds, and shortly thereof he'll sacrifice it for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped. Then he'll shuffle. So he's going to pull out a mountain. It's going to come in tapped. Another Dark Slick Shores. Go ahead and play that. So he'll play a Cliff Drop Retreat. So he is red and white for sure. And now comes Tibalt. Possibly one of the worst planeswalkers ever. His +1 ability, you draw a card, then discard a card at random. Random not so good. -4 ability, deals damage equal to the number of cards in target player's hand to that player. So really, unless you have a card that says you have no maximum hand size and your hand gets bigger than 7 cards, the max he could do in the very beginning of the game, if he could do so, would be 7 damage. So from then on, it's just going to get less. Really useless ability, and it's going to take him -4 to get up there. So 2 more rounds before you can even do that, and then by then, who knows? Maybe I'll play it more than a few cards. So not the greatest ability. -6, gain control of all creatures until end of turn. Untap them, they gain haste until end of turn. Good ability. -6 for an ultimate. That's not that great. So that's why I say probably the worst planeswalker ever. Even though he's only 2 red to put out, I do not like him. So he's going to draw a card, then discard a card at random. So he's going to get rid of a Burn Vengeance. It's at random, so. And really the strategy behind that, for you guys that don't know, is you just put a ton load of cards that you really can't cast for the mana. So you put in some bunch of Titans, essentially, or really high costing cards into your hand. So if you had a really crappy opening hand as far as being able to play it, so you have 3 Titans in hand, well, you'd be like, alright, that's a great hand. So as long as you have like a couple lands and a bunch of Titans, you'd still do it, as long as you could get Tibalt out, because he's going to eventually discard those things. And then if they're flashback, obviously you can flash them back, but then a Barrel Rights comes into play. So then you can actually cheat, you know, a Titan into play with a Barrel Rights, and then you can flash and Barrel Rights back. So it's an interesting mechanic, but it's susceptible to mana leaks, and the creatures you bring back, unless they're hexproof, they're susceptible to go for the throats, which I have in hand. And we'll do a Ponder. We have a Phyrexian Obliterator, we have a mana leak, and we have an island. We really do want that mana leak, but he really doesn't have anything in his graveyard right now that really needs the mana leak, but we know that he's going to play in Barrel Rights, so we get that island. We already have a Phyrexian Obliterator in hand, so we're doing really well. So he's going to discard a card at random, and that Burning Oil will be useful because he can now flash it back. See, the thing I don't really like about, you know, it's great for cheating in cards with Barrel Rights, but the flashback ability, if you choose a card that's 1 colorless and 1 red to play, and you can flash it back for 3 colorless and 1 white, so it's higher costing to flash back the card from your graveyard. So, I mean, and as it is, he could play Burning Oil from his hand for 2 mana, so it's not that great if you're cheating that card back in. You know what I'm saying? So he sacrifices Evolving Wilds and gets another basic land card, and he's going to bring out the Swamp, which he'll need for Unbarrel Rights. So. And there's our mana leak. We will just keep it out. You know, I've got a lot more stingy with my mana leaks, as I've found that, you know, unless I just can't do anything else, and I'm, you know, possibly going to take damage from a creature that can come out, I'll just keep mana leak for, you know, Titans coming onto the field, or Unbarrel Rights to get Titans on the field, things like that. So we played a Drowned Catacomb. We'll go ahead and put Vampire Nighthawk out on the field. Play a Swamp, and he'll discard a card at random. So he discarded Lingering Souls, which is, this is a good flashback because it's 2 colorless, 1 white to play, but then it's only 1 colorless, 1 black. I really like to have the option to play him and flashback him, but you know, whatever your fancy. So you could flash that back if you wanted to right now. Another Phyrexian Obliterator. We knew he was coming. Due to our Panda, we'll play our Island. And we'll put our Phyrexian Obliterator out. And we'll swing in with the Vampire Nighthawk, and we'll target Bolt. Try to knock down his ability to do -6. So he flashed back the Burning Oil, which does 3 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. So yeah, good ability. He got rid of the attacking creature, but again, if he didn't have to discard this at random, he could have played it for a lot less mana. Still had some mana open for whatever, so you just never know what you're going to randomly discard. So, you know, really that tells me that he already has, in those 7 cards, he has some Titans or some big baddies in there. So it got rid of a Sun Titan, which is 4 colorless and 2 white. So he can use some Unbarrel Rights and cheat this guy back into play. So he'll play Lingering Souls. He didn't flash back Lingering Souls here, so he'll have 2 Lingering Souls to flash back. And we got a Swamp. We'll go ahead and play that Swamp. And swing in with the Phyrexian Obliterator, targeting Tibalt. And knock him down to 1. And then we'll go ahead and put our Phyrexian Obliterator, because I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to do his -6 ability. Obviously, he only had 6 loyalty, so he would have killed Tibalt, but I believe he still would have been able to use that ability. So you basically sacrifice Tibalt to gain control of all creatures at the end of turn. It wouldn't have been that great, but if I put another Phyrexian Obliterator out before that, he probably would have went for it, because he would have been able to do 10 damage to me for 1 turn. So that would have been a pretty good play. So we'll go ahead and put him out at the end of our turn, just so he's not tempted to use that ability. Of course, he can't now that we swung in with the Obliterator, but, you know. So he'll do +1 again, and he got rid of Inferno Titan. So he had an Inferno Titan and probably the Sun Titan in hand when it also had the Bolt, so he knew he was going to discard them eventually. It was a 1 in 6 shot, 1 in 7 shot, something like that. So there comes the 2 black. So that comes in Unbarrel Rights, because Unbarrel Rights is 1 black and 4 colorless. It's a really steep card. A lot of decks run on Unbarrel Rights, but you can flashback it for 3 colorless and 1 white, so less than its casting cost, but then you can bring Inferno Titan in for nothing and Sun Titan in for nothing. So, and that's another reason we opted for Ponder to get an island, just so we would get the mana leak, or have our lands for our mana leak. So we'll go ahead and mana leak on Burial Rites, and since it's so high costing, he doesn't have enough mana to prevent mana leak, because he did 5 mana to actually cast on Burial Rites, so that will not go through. The problem now is that he can flash it back for 3 colorless and 1 white, and he probably has more on Burial Rites in his hand. I really wish I had a discard card at this moment, like some of my distresses. There's 4 in this deck. I think there's some duresses and things like that, so I really wish I could have gotten rid of some of his Burial Rites. But we didn't, and we got a Jace, so we'll go ahead and put him out. You know, it always messes with their heads when you have 2 Phyrexian Obliterators out on the back and you pull out a Jace. Unfortunately for us, his discard ability is actually going to help him get cards into his graveyard. But really, I think it is, it's going to hurt him as well, because we can get rid of his Tibalts that he might have in his deck. Since it's running on Burial Rites and really Tibalt and all these Titans and things, it's going to hurt and help him. So there's a good chance we'll just get rid of those Tibalts, so he won't be able to do anything with it. He can always use the Burial Rites, but and flash those back too. So I don't know. What do you think? You let me know in the comments below what you think about that, or whether I should have even brought out Jace and started discarding cards. So I think it hurt and helped him. So we'll go ahead and use his 0 ability, and the top 10 cards of his library will go into his graveyard. So just take a gander. We got rid of a Tibalt. So we'll swing in with both Phyrexian Obliterators for 10. He'll go down to 15, and we took out Tibalt. So this one over here went towards Tibalt, and this one over here went towards him. So 5 damage to him and 5 damage to Tibalt. Tibalt is now dead. So oh yeah, okay. So Burial Rites return target creature from your graveyard to your battlefield. So he can't Burial Rites Tibalt. So obviously he can do a Sun Titan or a Grave Titan or whatever, and he can also get back this Gold Knight, Blade of Gold Knight. So that's what he does. In fact, it's 4 colorless, 1 red, and 2 white. Really high costing card for a 5/5. But we have to go for the throat, and he'll swing in with both Spirit Tokens. And now, just having this card out onto the field, so if a source would deal damage to you or a permanent you control, prevent half that damage rounded up. But if a source would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, that source deals double that damage to that player or permanent instead. So he has 2 Spirit Tokens, which have 1 each, so that it will be more. And that alone should get rid of Jace. So we got a Mind Sculpt. Top 7 cards of your library go into your graveyard. Again, it may be hurting or helping him, but if we can get rid of some Tibalts, it'll work. But before that, we'll go for the throat on the Gold Knight, as I mentioned before. So now Gold Knight's back here. Of course, he can always Burial Rites it back, and there's not much we can do about it. But we still have 2 Phyrexian Obliterators on the field. There's 4 in the deck. Bound to get another one, right? So we'll go ahead and do a Mind Sculpt. So, got rid of some of his lands, at least. So we'll swing in with both Phyrexian Obliterators. He'll go down to 5. And now he'll flash back and Burial Rites. And exile it, and then he'll bring the Gold Knight back. Not much we can do about Gold Knight right now. And he'll swing in for 4. We'll go to 14. And we got another Phyrexian Obliterator, which is fantastic. So we got 3 Phyrexian Obliterators. That is 3 5/5s with Trample, and whenever a source deals damage to the Phyrexian Obliterator, that source controller sacrifices that many permanents. In a lot of ways, that's much better than the legendary creature Angel sitting out here. Would not be so good if we just had 1 Phyrexian Obliterator, because then, you know, they have to block right now. We'll be swinging in with 10 damage, so the Gold Knight will have to block. If it was just 1 Phyrexian Obliterator, obviously First Strike would destroy the Obliterator, but then they would have to sacrifice 5 permanents. So you could sacrifice all your lands and really have to, that would work. You still have your Gold Knight out, and you'd probably be able to swing in after turn if I didn't have already 2 other Phyrexian Obliterators out there. Let's say that he got rid of 2 Spirit Tokens and only 3 lands. So he would still have 3 lands and a Gold Knight. That probably would still work. But it's not the case. We don't have 1. We got 2. So he'll have to block with Gold Knight. That controller of the source sacrifices that many permanents. And so the First Strike hit before Trample. So we lost one of our Phyrexian Obliterators, but the Gold Knight did 5 damage to the Phyrexian Obliterator. So they'll have to sacrifice 5 permanents. And I believe this Phyrexian Obliterator would get through for 5 and kill them. Because the source would deal damage to you or a permanent you control, prevent half that damage, rounded up. So that would be prevent 3 damage, obviously. So it wouldn't have killed him, but he still has to sacrifice 5 permanents, and he's going to be in a very tricky situation with still 2 Phyrexian Obliterators on the field. So he'll go ahead and concede on turn 9. I think we had this game in the bag. Obviously, he thought so because he conceded. Let me know how you think this deck is performing. Let me know if you think I should have been doing the milling aspect of this deck, or if I should have just left it alone and you know, got a Sangromancer out at some point, even with 3 Phyrexian Obliterators out on the battlefield, or if you think that was a mistake. Your comments are helping me become a better player, so go ahead and leave that comment, hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you later next time.